Hello everyone, I'm making this video in response to a request by Winged Orange Umbrellas, who sent me a message asking me some questions about what I thought about different things. I'll start with the last one, the last question you asked first. She said that she's about to go vegan. She's been vegetarian for a while, but she's currently staying overseas with people and so can't sort of just decide what to eat. You know, it's not entirely her decision. But yeah, her mum's a dietitian and is in full support, but just gave some advice on how she should behave as a vegan. And basically her mum said, make sure you don't become militant and be rude to people, basically. And I'd have to say that I think she's right. I really, really do. And I know how hard, especially when you're young as well, you know, young and you're full of fire, full of passion, you know, full of enthusiasm. You just want to do the right thing, you know. And she asked, isn't it more wrong not to tell people, you know, if they're eating meat or something, not to sit there and say, hey, like, don't eat that. Well, what I would say is that would be a really bad way to go, to tell people while they're eating meat, to tell people not to eat meat. Because the thing is that people have very emotional reactions to this kind of information. And my personal theory is that I think that in general, people are at their foundation good, but unfortunately, that can come out in bad ways. So you see a lot of the aggression that vegans get is actually as a result of guilt that the non-vegan feels. Even when we don't even really say anything very much, you can get some very strange reactions, like just from saying, I am vegan. You can get, you know, people just start making jokes and laughing. And laughter is can be a nervous reaction. Laughter is often a way to release nerves and intense emotions that people don't know how to deal with otherwise. So you need to understand that and kind of maybe go easy a little bit on people. I mean, I'm still learning these things myself. It's hard, you know. You have to master your emotions, because also a lot of people don't understand that even though you're not saying to them, you're a bad person because you do the wrong thing and I don't like you, right? You're not saying that. But that's how they can take it. You know? You have to kind of be careful of how you come across sometimes, it seems, because it's just an emotional topic. Also, the other thing is, like I said in one of my last videos, the best way to advocate for veganism is just to be a happy, healthy vegan. You know? So just eat the food you're eating, you know, show that you enjoy it, show that you don't feel deprived, and just try to ignore what other people are doing. And, you know, you'll probably find that people, you know, will probably take an interest and start asking you questions, you know. If you just leave it for them to come to you, you know. And that's the reason why I used this forum to talk about veganism rather than, you know, because I felt really bad that I was doing all this online advocacy and nothing in real life, face-to-face. But I now actually kind of believe that this, in some ways, is superior because of the fact that people have to choose to come and watch my videos. And I think that in some ways it's a better use of energy, because there's little point going out there and talking to people who are completely not interested, because you're just going to get all those intense defensive reactions and people getting angry with you and thinking that you're evangelizing to them, basically. So, and about being militant as well, your mum used the word militant. Yeah, that's true too. There are some very negative perceptions of vegans because of the way that some people act, and sometimes people don't do it because they're militant. They just, you know, we have our personal feelings about these things, you know, and I personally, I'm an abolitionist, right? Which basically means that I want to see the end of all animal exploitation. I go further than mere welfare, which is just like, yeah, it's totally fine to exploit animals. Let's just exploit them in a slightly kinder fashion. So I go beyond that. People often say that's extreme, and my response would be, yep, it's extreme. It's an expression of extreme love and compassion. I really think that a lot of these words get bandied around a lot, and used in contexts in which they don't belong. I mean, militant is like militia. It's like martial. It's like military, warlike, you know? So, yeah, don't be warlike. But if you're not being warlike and someone says you're being militant or extreme, just don't worry about it. It's a put-down word. You know, it's like calling someone a terrorist or a Nazi, you know? It's like something that you can't logically argue your way out of. It's just an emotive, throwaway word to say that your beliefs don't really matter. Essentially, you're a bit of a crazy. Yeah. So just be yourself. Be your nice, friendly, excited, exuberant self about the topic. When people ask you questions, answer them as best you can. Try not to get upset. I know that's easier said than done, but just give it a shot best you can. And we all have to learn. So, yeah, you'll find that you'll get better as time goes on. I wasn't very good when I started. I was very emotional. I got upset all the time, and it wasn't good. You know, I'm still learning myself. So if you screw up, just learn from it and move on. Apologize to people if you need to. Yeah, that's basically it. You asked another question about raising children vegan and whether or not, like, just talking about how other people would find it unethical and whether or not children should have a choice. Well, you see, the thing is that no matter what you do, the child doesn't have a choice until it reaches the age at which you allow the child to make a choice, right? So if we're talking about young children, you know, like up to the age of, like, primary school age, right? They don't have a choice. Everything that they eat is just handed out to them, right? So whether you feed them a vegan diet or a vegetarian, lacto-ovo-vegetarian, or a full, like, mainstream omnivorous diet, they don't have a choice no matter what, right? And all of the people who've investigated whether or not vegan diets are appropriate for children have said that, yes, a well-planned vegan diet is appropriate for children. And what that basically means is children need a lot more fat than adults do, and they also need to be given a lower fiber diet because you want to get, essentially, you want to get as much healthy calories into them because they're growing all the time, right? And if you fill them up with fiber, like for adults, you want a really high fiber diet, you know? So you don't eat too much, and so your intestines are getting cleaned all the time by the fiber. But with children, if you fill them up with fiber, they're not going to be able to finish their dinner, you know? Like, they'll fill up on lettuce and not be able to fit in enough carbohydrates or protein. So that's one of the biggest things, is that you want to make sure you're not putting your children on a high fiber, low fat diet like someone might do to an adult. So you want to make sure there's, like, you know, margarine on white bread, things like that, you know, that actually are good for children, even though for adults it might not always be appropriate. Yeah, so that's basically, and making sure you supplement B12. B12 is required, you know, so you want to make sure you're getting your B12 while you're breastfeeding your child, and that as soon as they are not breastfeeding from you anymore, you're going to have to add the B12 in another way. So either by giving them a supplement, or you can also take them down and have them get a B12 injection. But as long as those things are addressed, and they could all be problems in an omnivorous diet too, because sometimes even people who are omnivorous can have B12 deficiencies or have like a too low fat, too high fiber diet that they feed to their children. So essentially, that's what I have to say in response. Thank you very much for your message. I always appreciate your input, and I consider you as a friend. And I hope you're having a really good time with your friends that are staying with you at the moment. I think they're still with you. Anyway, I'm running out of time. See you later. Bye!